Factory-applied finishes can sometimes look a little flat when compared to the real thing, particularly where steam locos are concerned. Here, we're seeking to create the look of a hard-working but regularly polished machine, and T-Cut Finish Restorer is perfect for polishing up the paintwork, using a cotton bud to gently buff the surface. Take care, as too much liquid and too much pressure on the bud will remove any printed detail. Remove all traces of the T-cut with clean buds, and finish by burnishing with a toothbrush until a pleasing shine is achieved. Only a limited palette of enamels is needed in most instances. Humroll leather, rust and metal coat gunmetal plus some rail match roof dirt are sufficient, and adding talcum powder to the mix will produce a realistic grimy texture. Dab the mix onto the underframes, adding more talc for areas where dirt, ash and soot are likely to have been trapped amongst the oil and grease, such as around the ash pan and sanding gear. A 9-volt battery is helpful for rotating the driving wheels and motion, allowing better access for the brush, as well as permitting a quick clean-up of excess paint from the wheel treads and power pickup surfaces using a cotton bud and white spirit. A similar mix, but with less talc, can also be applied to the body, working on small areas at a time. Immediately rub the paint away with cotton buds, regularly switching to a clean one until the polished surface is regained. Work in vertical strokes as much as possible and concentrate on only where the cleaner's rag would have reached, leaving some of the dirt behind within recesses and hard to reach areas. Stray fibres from the buds can be removed with a soft brush, although tweezers or a decorator's tacky rag may be needed for more stubborn strands. After working all around the locomotive, Use an airbrush to deposit a dusty mix of roof dirt, gunmetal and earth brown enamels over the top of the boiler, cab and tanks, not forgetting to mask any glazing first. This need only be a very light misting, working also onto running plates and other surfaces that will catch dust, ash and soot. Weathering powders offer a different texture to that of paint, producing a fine ultra-matte finish when used carefully. Gently dab a little ash-coloured powder onto the running plate around the smoke box with a soft brush, removing any excess with a clean brush. Powders are also perfect for imitating rust and soot deposits, particularly for the top of the boiler, creating a contrast against the polished paintwork of the sides. Burnishing with a toothbrush will add some light streaking, as well as activate the metallic particles in the Humbrol metal coat paint, adding a slightly oily sheen. Returning to the underframe, this can also be treated to some weathering powders, recreating deposits of brake dust, rust and ash, reacting nicely to the textured surface created by the paint and talc mix. This method of dry brushing consists of removing nearly all traces of paint from a brush. In this instance, some Humbrol enamel gunmetal, number 53, is being employed to highlight various areas of raised detail, such as handrails, brackets and rivets. The brush is passed over the model with very light strokes, so that only elevated features receive any paint. Restraint is important here, as too much paint will look rather odd. By mixing in a few shades of rust, an impression can be formed of chipped or scuffed paint. This diorama pack of Tensochrome acrylics contains shades of oil and smoke that are perfect for steam locos, although not only for what their names suggest. The pot of oil can create runs of water or oil staining, drying to a very subtle shade. The same colour is also good for adding streaks of oil and grease to underframe areas, particularly around brake linkages where heavy lubricants would be daubed. Varying mixes of Humbrol leather and metal coat gunmetal enamels added in streaks to the coupling rods can also look effective and adds to the mix of textures and tones of the underframe. The result is a portrait of a work-stained machine in everyday use, but still showing some signs of being rubbed down occasionally. Each technique and material has layered the deposits of dirt and dust, while careful polishing, burnishing and dry brushing have all enhanced the sharp detail of this Bachmann model.